Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Matt Morris. We are live right now on YouTube as well as on Rumble at Matt Morris TV. Folks, today we have some absolutely massive updates pertaining to the Insurrection Act and if/when President Trump might end up actually invoking the Insurrection Act. But as a little bit of a spoiler here for today's show, it seems as if President Trump is getting pretty darn close to invoking that act. We also have some very curious updates pertaining to one specific arrest that was made in Minneapolis yesterday evening, the details of which are frankly absolutely insane. It involves the Latin Kings. Elon Musk today, really all day so far, has come out of the woodwork going absolutely nuclear, scorched earth on the entirety of the far left, as well as on the congressional rhinos. We're going to be talking a lot today about the nuclear option in the Senate. Now, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, maybe he's a leaker too, to be honest, has just come forward and has said something very concerning that all of you need to take a look at. It's going to serve as a little bit of a reminder of what is really at stake right now across the country. And then, of course, we also have some pretty exciting bombshell information coming directly from the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security itself. So, ladies and gentlemen, with all of that out of the way, do me a favor, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and on Rumble. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the best place to kick off today's broadcast is to talk about the Insurrection Act. Now, we have a clip coming from Tom Homan, border czar and former ICE director Tom Homan on Fox News. He said last night that today, he is going to be having a one-on-one meeting with President Trump himself, talking about potentially invoking the Insurrection Act. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Is it time for the Insurrection Act, or would that just add gasoline to the fire?
Well, I'm not going to get ahead of the president on that, but it's certainly an option, a viable option. So actually, I'll be meeting with the president tomorrow. So, you know, I think it's something that needs to be on the table because this cannot continue. There is going to be more bloodshed. I'm telling you. I hope I'm wrong, but I haven't been yet. There's going to be more bloodshed if something hasn't done.
It's going to spread, and most Minnesotans, by the way, and I want to say this tonight because folks have reached out to me, support ICE. It's this radical group of anarchists, and when you see them close up, you really get a sense of who they are. It's this crowd, a lot of them paid, a lot of them working, double shifts of protest against the rest of the state, which are reasonable, common sense, peaceful people of all backgrounds.
I love that she just said that because this harkens back to a conversation we had perhaps 2 days ago here on this broadcast where we said, folks, over the last 2 or 3 weeks that all of this chaos has been unfolding on the streets of Minneapolis, are these anti-ICE protests, riots, really is what they are they getting bigger? Are more and more Americans or protesters or whoever coming out and marching through the streets? Or does it seem like these anti-ICE protesters, rioters, it's really just like a couple dozen people at most? And no, in fact, if anything, you're seeing the protests and riots shrink. And the reason why is because the Trump administration, ICE, DHS, they are arresting and deporting all of the crazy ones that are causing problems on the streets. This is not a movement that is getting bigger. This is a movement that is slowly dying out. This movement, this anti-ICE movement, in fact, does not have the overwhelming support of the American people. Otherwise, we would see tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people marching through the streets. And guess what? We don't. We see a couple dozen at most, far left, oftentimes illegal alien criminal delinquents. She's totally right.
Including immigrant backgrounds. They don't like what's happened in the Twin Cities. And we're going to expose more about Jacob Fry in a moment. But, Tom, I think most people are good people. They want the bad people out, and they want some peace in their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And we're going to get the bad people out. And as far as the organization, everybody that's planning these protests, giving these people weapons and funding this, again, justice is coming because we're deep diving that whole thing.
Well, I've got something I want to share with you folks today. Today, we have a clip prepared from FBI Director Kash Patel talking about investigating these far-left agitation groups. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But first, folks, I want to show you what happened on the streets of Minneapolis last night. Can I pull this image up, make it big, put it up on the big screen? We have, at a minimum, I mean, there's too many pictures to even fit on the screen here. At a minimum, 11 federal law enforcement vehicles just last night have been vandalized and attacked and broken into. ICE. They're spray painting ICE. We saw the night before they were spray painting death threats, kill all ICE agents. The only good agent is a dead agent, etc., etc. And so this is new vandalism that happened last night. Keep in mind, this is after this new wave of vandalism happened last night after President Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act yesterday morning. So these people are not relenting. They're only getting worse. It's only getting crazier. This is why President Trump this morning is talking about the Insurrection Act again. Take a look. He says this morning from Trump himself, in Minnesota State, the troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists are, in many cases, highly paid professionals. The government, the governor and mayor don't know what to do. They have totally lost control. Yeah, true. And are currently being rendered useless. If and when I am forced to act, it will be solved quickly and effectively. President Donald J. Trump. So here's President Trump calling these people incompetent. Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey, totally incompetent, out of control. The situation is out of their control. And these people are insurrectionists. And they are. And they are. In fact, this is what is going on the streets of Minneapolis this very morning, just like 2 hours ago.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection Police arresting a protester, seems to be a person who was outside this building. We just witnessed them arresting another person moments ago, and now they're clearing the street. Now, it has happened a few times, Dana, that protesters take the street, and that's when police moves in to clear the street right outside this building. Now, this, I will say, is the most forceful that I've seen the federal forces be with protesters. There seem to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 agents on top of this person.
So these people are still out here. She says, this is the most forceful I've ever seen the federal officers be. Good. We need force. We need to bring back law and order. That is exactly what we need. Because, by the way, keep in mind, these far left agitators, there is not an infinite number of these people. We've said before, at most, whenever one of these hot spots, takes off here, they've got a couple dozen people at most. If we slowly, over days or weeks, just start arresting these people and slapping them with criminal charges, before you know it, all of the most violent, obstructive, criminally delinquent, far-left agitators or illegal aliens that are out here on the streets also, many of them are illegal aliens, they're gone. The problem is solved. So show some force, continue to arrest these people. Now, talking about cracking down on who is funding some of these protesters, like I said, here's a clip from Kash Patel from last night. Take a listen, FBI director.
I can tell you, generally speaking, that these protests, whether it's Minneapolis or LA or Portland or where have you, aren't spontaneous. They don't magically appear. Most of these individuals aren't even from those respective areas. But more importantly, behind that, someone has to pay for it. Somebody has to pay for the transportation. Somebody has to pay for the signs. And when you find things like every single person is holding the exact same sign on the exact same piece of wood and the exact same placard, they didn't get together beforehand and do that. It is an organized, in my opinion, effort to criminally disrupt and cause chaos into our communities. And this FBI is investigating every single organization and person responsible for paying or contributing in any way to the organization of these protests, and also going after those actors, the criminal actors at the protests themselves.
Well, I'll tell you something else here. This seems to be the case. Imagine, let's concoct a scenario here. Imagine you've got, 30 legitimate, they're not paid for, they're actual legitimate all-American protesters They are members of the far left, and they're out there on the streets. Oftentimes, what I believe we see is 1 or 2 or 3 paid professional agitators, and they go into the crowd and they start getting everybody riled up and calling for death threats. They've got a megaphone. They're saying, everybody go attack ICE. And they go up and start throwing water bottles. And because everybody on the far left, these people are lemmings, they are sheep. It's like monkey see, monkey do. You've got a crowd of perhaps 30 authentic protesters, and all it takes is 1 or 2 or 3 paid agitators. And before you know it, the other more authentic protesters, they start copying, they follow the lead of the paid agitators. And that's what happens. I think we're probably seeing that as well. Now, on CNN last night, they were talking about, we have Scott Jennings here. We're going to have a couple clips featuring Scott Jennings today, talking about the Insurrection Act. Let's see what they said on CNN Newsnight with Abby Phillips, featuring Scott Jennings. What did they have to say about this?
I want to start with this idea of the Insurrection Act and whether this is the moment that the Trump administration has been waiting for. Scott, you have been convinced that this is the time.
Yeah, they'd be well within their rights to do it. I mean, you've got a governor of Minnesota who has said out loud that he believes they exist in a state of occupation of the federal government.
Yep.
You've got people going off to training how to fight federal agents. You've got massive amounts of money flowing into these groups to fund this stuff. And you have a bunch of elected officials in Minnesota who seem to believe that federal laws do not apply there. And you have massive unrest and massive disorder in the streets. And just last night, a ICE agent was trying to arrest a Venezuelan national, and 2 other Venezuelan nationals, all illegal immigrants, came out and tried to beat him to death with a shovel, which has apparently enraged everyone in Minnesota. They have a lot of problems there, and if Trump decided to do it, I think he'd be well within his rights to do so.
He would be absolutely well within his rights to do so. And by the way, I will say something here. You can call me an extremist, call me a far-right radical, doesn't bother me. As far as I'm concerned, literally every single sanctuary state, sanctuary city, as they call themselves, these are states and cities in open and direct insurrection, a state of defiance of the federal government. Every single sanctuary state, every single sanctuary city, because what does a sanctuary city or sanctuary state mean? This is a state or city that has decided that they don't need to listen to federal law, that it doesn't matter to them. In fact, they are going to intentionally, deliberately aid and abet and harbor illegal alien invaders. They're going to refuse to work with federal law enforcement. By definition, by nature of existing, by nature of their existence, these sanctuary states and sanctuary cities are engaged in open insurrection. It is about time that finally someone shuts them down. Elon Musk, this morning, just like 90 minutes ago, he himself, Elon Musk, called for the Insurrection Act. He said, time to invoke the Insurrection Act. Elon Musk, while retweeting this. What does this say? Some fun facts here. The Insurrection Act has been invoked 30 times by 17 different presidents, so it's not exactly unprecedented. In fact, 37% of all American presidents have invoked the Insurrection Act. It was invoked to deal with rebellions and uprisings. Is that what we have here? Yeah. What are rebellions and uprisings? Well, a couple examples here. Armed groups openly defying the federal law. State or local authorities could not or would not enforce federal law. Sound familiar? Violence or organized resistance threatened the authority of the federal government. Seems to be the case. Courts were blocked or taxes couldn't be collected or officials were attacked. Well, we're having federal law enforcement officials get attacked right now. Look, I just described Minnesota. And so this is what Elon Musk himself retweeted earlier today. He says, in fact, it is time to invoke the insurrection law. Now, we hear from a legal professional. This is Jonathan Turley, who is a law professor and best-selling author. His opinion on this entire dynamic relating to the Insurrection Act. Take a listen.
Well, I hope that this can be avoided. But if you're asking the question of does he have the authority to invoke it, I think he does. The Insurrection Act is very generally worded. It allows a president to call out a military force in order to enforce the laws of the United States. That was done by Presidents Eisenhower and Kennedy in very similar circumstances. In those circumstances, you had local officials, including governors, who were extremely aggressive, anti-federal government, saying they would not assist in the enforcement of civil rights laws. These are obviously different laws. These are the immigration laws, but both are laws of the United States. And you have a governor here and a mayor who have been fueling the rage, telling people that they're under attack. You have Democratic senators just this week saying democracy might not last till November. All of that's creating the very volatile situation. So under the Insurrection Act, the president has a great deal of authority. What it gives the president is essentially a way around the Posse Comitatus Act, which prevents him from using the military domestically. The Insurrection Act removes that barrier and allows him to call out troops, as did Eisenhower and Kennedy.
Now, for those of you that are a little bit older, you might remember this, maybe you were young children when this happened. During the civil rights era, they passed all of this civil rights legislation, namely in this case, forced integration of public schools. Back in the day, there were white schools, there were black schools. The white kids went to that school, the black kids went to that school. Okay, so new legislation is passed in the civil rights era, and now the schools were forcibly integrated. Well, a lot of people, namely in the South, generally speaking, they were in the South, various states as a collective did not want their schools to be integrated. And so Kennedy, Eisenhower, some other ones, I want to say Lyndon B. Johnson, if I'm remembering properly, they invoked the Insurrection Act, I believe in Mississippi, Arkansas, I believe, a couple other states, and they actually deployed the National Guard to force the schools to integrate. They were forcing students to integrate in these public schools, high schools, and middle schools, namely. And this is what happened. And by the way, they were forcing them to do it. They had bayonets at their back, forcing them at like bayonet point to integrate. You will integrate. So this has happened numerous times. I believe the most recent time the Insurrection Act was invoked, I believe it was George H.W. Bush in the early 90s to help put down the LA riots. So like we saw a moment ago, 38% of presidents through all of U.S. history have invoked this act. Sometimes you got to do it. Listen, when you've got states that are openly and just brazenly defying federal law, guess what? This is what happens. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have really a shocking update. Stick around for this. Hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe because this is going to blow your mind. Yesterday evening, a member of the violent Latin Kings gang was arrested after allegedly, we have him on video, stealing government property from an FBI vehicle vandalized during unrest in Minneapolis, federal authorities said. We've seen this, but there's a new update pertaining to this story. Attorney General Pam Bondi said Raul Gutierrez stole FBI body armor and weaponry from inside of a vehicle while agents were responding to a reported assault. So we've seen the video. We saw this guy break in the back of an FBI cruiser. This one you see right here in the background, this black vehicle. He pulled out an FBI rifle. It was in a bag and some body armor and runs off with it. Well, this individual is an illegal alien who is a member of the Latin Kings. Why is that important? Who cares? Latin Kings, whatever. Well, listen to this. In October, a couple months ago, the Latin Kings put out a bounty on Commander Bovino in Chicago. Now, they put out a bounty. They wanted him dead. The Latin Kings illegal alien gang put out a bounty on Bovino. Now, 2 days ago, a Latin Kings gang member, illegal alien, was just arrested in Minnesota for stealing weapons out of an FBI cruiser. Latin Kings are major partners of the Sinaloa cartel in the United States, and they are now targeting the ICE raids. This is all connected. So who would have guessed, mixed in the crowd of all of these anti-ICE riots and protests, of course, you've got your useful idiots, you've got your paid protesters and paid agitators, but also you've got members of Latin Kings illegal alien cartel gangs that are putting hits out on ICE officers, in this case, Commander Bovino, the commander. This is absolutely shocking. We have a Fox News report pertaining to this from last night. Take a listen.
The man who had arrested last night breaking into that vehicle, Tom Homan just said he was arrested. I know you just talked to a high-placed source at DOJ. Tell us more.
Yeah, so he wasn't arrested last night. He could have been, but the Minneapolis police didn't bother chasing the vehicle that had just stolen a high-powered rifle out of an FBI car. So that stole it out of one of these weapons lockers that was in the back. But what I can confirm now is that Raul Gutierrez, age 33, that you see in the video that I posted last night, stealing a firearm from...
This is a weapons locker. In this video right here, put it up on the big screen. This is a weapons locker that they ripped out of the back of an FBI vehicle and smashed open. You know, I'll tell you something, folks. What I have found I'm a younger guy, but what I have determined is that in life, oftentimes to get ahead, you don't even have to make exclusively good decisions at all times. You just have to not make bad decisions. It's kind of enough. All you have to do is not make bad decisions. You don't even have to make good decisions. Not making terrible, life-shattering bad decisions is enough. This is a bad decision. What you are looking at right now is a bunch of people, a couple dozen here, that are making a terrible, bad decision. And now it is time to FAFO.
A firearm from an FBI vehicle has been arrested by the ATF and the DOJ. They executed an arrest warrant today, and he's a known member of the Latin Kings gang. I just got all this information just before I came on air. He's got a lengthy, violent rap sheet. Of course, he should have been in prison already, but in Tim Waltz, Minnesota, like they don't arrest anybody here. So it's not surprising that he was able to go out and beat this gun safe to a pulp and pull this automatic firearm out of it and run away with it. And, you know, hell, if it wasn't for, honestly, a lot of us independent journalists on the ground that were able to get a video of this, nobody would have seen it happen.
Wouldn't know about it.
They were able to find this guy based on a video from independent journalists, the one that we posted last night. I mean, it's crazy that it has to be us doing this.
I mean, this individual also, as you can see from his mug shot here, where's the picture? He had a bunch of very easily identifiable gang tattoos. This is literally a Latin Kings tattoo on his cheek. And in one of the videos we saw where he was ripping out this weapon, I believe it's a fully automatic rifle out of the back of this FBI car. Not supposed to have that. That's a big problem. You can just see this guy's tattoo. So it's like, hey, some advice here. If you're going to be if you're going to be committing crime, perhaps don't have easily identifiable tattoos on your face. But, you know, as they say, some of these crazy, insane criminal delinquents, they're not known for being the smartest people in the world, to say the least. It's not like... Listen, hey, I don't want to piss off the cartels here, but listen, hey, some of these people, it's not exactly like they're rocket scientists. They're not geniuses, to say the least. Now, we also got a statement from Tricia McLaughlin, I believe is her name, Tricia McLaughlin, made an appearance on CNN this morning, torching the left-wing media. She's a representative of the DHS. Take a look at this.
5 weeks, we have arrested 2,500 criminal illegal aliens off of the streets of Minneapolis. If I can make my point, I appreciate your having me, but I do want to be able to make my point. Sure. The point of the matter is, I have not seen CNN cover who some of those individuals are. An individual from Ecuador, he murdered his 3-month-old son. An individual who is perpetuating human slavery and human trafficking, scores and scores of murders, child pedophiles. Why does the media not talk about that? We continue to see that people love to demonize law enforcement, vilify them as they're facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. And yet we're not talking about the great work that they're doing on the ground, the fact that they are risking their lives day in and day out to get these criminals off the ground. Gang members, known as suspected terrorists, these are all the people that we've arrested in Minneapolis. And DHS and Secretary Noem, President Trump have done a phenomenal job of trying to give people transparency on who we are arresting. And yet we're standing here talking about relitigating cases over and over and over again.
Well, a U.S. citizen was killed by an ICE officer.
Yes,
that's fair. I talked about the polls. It's a fair question to say, are you losing American support? But if I went...
Is ICE losing the support of Americans? Yeah, I don't think so. Listen, I'll tell you what, these left-wing, these far-left propagandists, and that's what they are, propagandists, they get up here every single day and they spin their baloney. They spin their baloney. They spread lies intentionally designed to deceive the American people. They should feel ashamed of themselves. How often during the Biden era, during the 4 years that Biden was sitting behind the Resolute desk or probably napping in bed, he probably took a 4-year-long nap. Anyway, during the Biden era, how often did CNN, MSNBC, ABC, any of them, how often did they talk about the hundreds of thousands of Americans that were overdosing fentanyl, narcotics coming across the southern border as a consequence of their open border policies? Did they ever talk about those people as dead Americans? Hundreds of thousands? No. Did they ever talk about the hundreds of thousands of sex trafficked women and children that came across that border? Hundreds of thousands, children and women. No. Did they ever talk about the cartel and gang violence, Tren de Aragua, Latin kings killing and torturing and butchering American citizens? No. Hundreds of thousands. Did they ever talk about that? No. However, they've been complaining for a week about this ICE officer involved shooting on the streets of Minneapolis, which was in self-defense. We've all seen it involving Renee Good. These people should be ripped off the air. They should listen. CNN as a news network should be shut down. CNN is a national security threat. You want to talk about a national security threat? CNN is a national security threat. Sorry, somebody has to say it here. Tricia McLaughlin goes on to say,
So yes, fair. I talked about the polls. It's a fair question to say, are you losing American support? But Wolf, I want to let you please.
No one supports attacking or killing a law enforcement officer. Nobody supports that.
But if I may say, you all have said really laying the feet at that ICE enforcement officer. We said that this was domestic. We said that this was domestic terrorism for a reason. This individual used a deadly weapon against our ICE law enforcement officer. That is and will be charged. In any of the cases, we saw 15 of these cases over the past week alone in Minneapolis. Those will be charged as domestic terrorism.
When she called this 37-year-old mother of three who was driving that car a domestic terrorist, that really was outrageous.
It's outrageous. Hey, here's a little piece of advice. If you don't want to be called a domestic terrorist, then you should probably not engage in acts of domestic terrorism. To me, I think anybody with a brain, I think that seems obvious. Well, I'm Matt Morris. I don't want to be called a domestic terrorist. Okay, well, I'm not going to try to drive my vehicle over federal law enforcement officers. Seems obvious to me.
We said it was an act of domestic terrorism. In no way is that outrageous. What we saw on the ground there, she had been stalking and harassing law enforcement throughout the morning, and then she went on to use her car as a deadly weapon.
She was driving by after dropping off her little 6-year-old boy.
That's just simply not true.
They are still running with this narrative. She was just driving by after dropping off her little 6-year-old boy at school in the morning. Baloney. She was harassing and stalking these ICE officers for hours. She had parked her vehicle for 3 minutes and 47 seconds, crosswise in the road, blocking traffic, honking the horn, and dancing to the beat. And then she tried to drive one of them over. You are just lying. Wolf Blitzer is a liar.
I have the facts on the ground. I mean, if you look at it, for the hours
more information you can release to give the public a better understanding.
If I can give you the facts of what happened that morning at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, this is where that incident occurred in Minneapolis. This individual, for hours before, had been stalking and harassing law enforcement, impeding operations. At the time of that incident, our law enforcement approached this individual's vehicle as she was blocking in our law enforcement. That is a federal crime. They asked her to get out of the car, to stop obstructing law enforcement. You saw from the video that her partner had been walking around harassing the law enforcement officer. Our officer was in front of her. She gunned the vehicle, and that's when things turned dangerous.
You know what I love? Tricia McLaughlin here, this woman here representing the DHS, she's like so soft-spoken. She looks so peaceful and civil, but then she can just open it up. She can just open it up and go all in. She can go Patriot MAGA mode whenever she feels like it. Good for her. Good for her. Listen, hold these far-left propagandist liars accountable. That is exactly what they are. Greg Gutfield got into a spat last night on Fox News pertaining to all of this mayhem in Minneapolis. This one got a little bit heated. Take a listen to this.
Create the environment, and then you complain about the consequences. When you kick over a beehive, don't complain when the bees come after you.
Every single one of
when
those
you poke a bear, don't say, I can't believe the bear's chasing me.
You have a right to stand there and yell at
That's not what we were talking about. We're talking about you guys are deliberately creating an environment so that there is chaos. And when there is chaos, you go, oh my God, someone gets hurt. What do you expect in chaos?
You don't think that they're trying to create chaos?
Yes.
What they're
They are.
ICE officers.
These organizations desire chaos.
Going in and
how naive are you?
And it wouldn't be you wouldn't have this chaos.
I'll tell you something here. Recently, just the other day, I went back and I read the entire First Amendment. The Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, does not, in fact, protect your right to protest. There is no right to protest. There is a right to, quote, peacefully assemble. Go fact check me if you disagree. You can peacefully assemble in accordance with the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Okay, so you can stand on the road, or stand on the side of the road, not the middle. Stand on the side of the road, hold up a sign, do a chant. You can even yell. You can yell and scream if you want, but what you are not allowed to do is block the road and throw rocks and throw frozen water bottles and smash into people's cars, especially the cars of federal law enforcement officers. You're not allowed to attack or assault federal law enforcement officers. You're not allowed to beat them with a stick or a shovel or a cane or anything else for that matter. These people, they are not peacefully assembling, which is what is protected in the Constitution, the First Amendment. They are rioting. These people are riotous insurrectionists. They are engaging in seditious behavior. I think we might need the Insurrection Act here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you this clip here. I need to be a little bit braggadocious here. That's, if I'm honest, that's what I'm about to show you. Last night on CNN, Scott Jennings, who we like, Scott Jennings went up and he said this. Take a listen.
So, according to the reporting, there have been 170 American citizens who have been detained for some period of time during this period in which they have deported about 660,000 illegal aliens. That's about a 99.9997% success rate. If any other government agency got stuff that right that often, we'd be throwing them a ticker tape parade.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this statement, 170 American citizens who have been detained for some period of time. ICE has deported 660,000 illegal aliens. That's a 99.999% success rate. Do you know where Scott Jennings got that talking point? I tweeted that 3 days ago, and my tweet got 1.1 million views. This tweet went viral. Scott Jennings took my talking point from 3 days ago. He saw my tweet and he took it with him to CNN and then absolutely dunked out. He dunked out on him. And I mean, hey, it's a good talking point. Scott Jennings has taken my talking points and running up onto CNN. Good. And you know what? Hey, Scott Jennings, you can take that. That's fine. Listen, we got a country to save. I'm not even mad at him. Let's go. Let's go. We are going viral. We're taking over. This community, we are becoming the thought leaders over here. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want to show you something very curious that Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, said just yesterday afternoon. But first, I want to show you what he said it in response to. This is a message from Stephen Miller. Take a listen to this. Then we're going to talk about Hakeem Jeffries. Stephen Miller.
To all ICE officers, you have federal immunity in the conduct of your duties. And anybody who lays a hand on you or tries to stop you or tries to obstruct you is committing a felony. You have immunity to perform your duties, and no one, no city official, no state official, no illegal alien, no leftist agitator or domestic insurrectionist can prevent you from fulfilling your legal obligations and duties. And the Department of Justice has made clear that if officials cross that line into obstruction, into criminal conspiracy against the United States or against ICE officers, then they will face justice.
So this is a very true, appropriate, legitimate message from Stephen Miller made 3 days ago. In response, and I think we all agree here, in response to what Stephen Miller said, Hakeem Jeffries said something very curious. And I want to show you this because this is a reminder of just how high the stakes are right now. Hakeem Jeffries said, reminder to all members of the Trump administration, the incitement and engagement in state violence against the American people is a serious crime. Donald Trump will leave office long before the 5-year statute of limitations expires. You are hereby on notice. What does Hakeem Jeffries mean by this? Hakeem Jeffries, what he is doing right now is issuing a public threat. What he's saying to every single ICE officer, federal law enforcement officer, member of the Trump administration, he is saying this is, by the way, the second highest ranking Democrat in the country. Take this very seriously. It is serious. What he is saying is that the next time the Democrats are in control of this country, they are going to criminally prosecute and punish every single one of President Trump's collaborators. If you are an ICE agent, if you're a federal law enforcement DHS officer, if you're a member of the Trump administration, the next time the Democrats are in control of this country once again, God forbid, I'm sure it will happen someday though, they are going to hunt down and criminally prosecute every single person that collaborated with President Trump. This is a threat from Hakeem Jeffries. This is insane. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind here. This threat to weaponize the legal system and the criminal law system. Keep this in mind as we head towards midterms and the 2028 election. These people are evil. They are vindictive. They have a grudge. They have an axe to grind. And the second they are able to grind that axe, they will. 100% they will. We cannot let these people get in control of the country again. Why might Hakeem Jeffries be so desperate? It's a little bit of a desperate thing to say that. Well, we got a report earlier this morning. It said, Trump has deported so many people from Minnesota that they are projected to lose a congressional seat after the next census. Ladies and gentlemen, that is some good news. Trump, read that again. Trump has deported so many people from Minnesota that they are projected to lose a congressional seat after the next census. And by the way, that's not just a congressional seat, but also that's one vote in the Electoral College. And also, hey, let's talk about the entire country here. We've gotten rid of 2.6 million illegal aliens in the last 12 months. This report is only concerned with Minnesota. But when you talk nationwide, across the entire country, 2.6 million illegal aliens gone, that is going to have, and we're just getting started, by the way. We're only 1 year into this 4-year administration. This is going to have a massive impact whenever the next census rolls around. Okay, generally they're conducted every 10 years, 2020, 2030, every 10 years. But the Trump administration right now is actually pushing to conduct a midterm census. They want to conduct a new census soon because they don't believe in the legitimacy of the 2020 census. The point is, if there is a new census conducted, it's probably not going to happen before midterms, but if a new census is conducted prior to the 2028 election, the Democrats are literally screwed. They are completely and totally literally screwed. And by the way, there was a massive concerted agenda within the Trump administration right now to conduct another census prior to the 2020 election. There's no reason they can't. There's no law stating they can't. It's just kind of tradition to do it every 10 years. You could do it every 5 years or every 2 years if you wanted. And it seems like that's what Trump is trying to do. Now, we've got some good news I want to share with you folks. Take a listen to this.
So the big news that we got in the last 24 hours is that Tom Emmer, the number 3 member of the House, Republican leadership, he has confirmed on the record that congressional investigators are now have Minnesota state employees. We've known that there were these whistleblowers, these state legislators were talking to them. They've now become federal and congressional whistleblowers, and they're signing affidavits. And what Tom Emmer says is in the affidavits is people saying, I personally talked to the governor and his staff, Governor Tim Walz and his staff, and I told them about this fraud, told them it needed to be stopped, and they did nothing. They looked the other way. That is very significant. Now, Tom Emmer said, I think that's enough to bring criminal charges and to put the man in cuffs. Now, that is a very significant moment because Congress will take that testimony. It will make a criminal referral. And there is a U.S. attorney out in Minnesota no glitz, no glamour, but they are rolling up indictments, and they mean business. And it is very likely that Tim Walz will not only be hauled before Congress, but this evidence, if referred from Congress to the U.S. Attorney and the Justice Department, could result in Tim Walz becoming a subject or a target of the investigation. That's certainly what Tom Emmer thinks. Meanwhile, we're seeing the flow of money. It wasn't just Minnesota. So last week we talked about this, Steve. $700 million in suitcases flies out of Minnesota, often headed to either Amsterdam or Amsterdam to Dubai. It was a foreign.
You know what? Ladies and gentlemen, I just remembered. It was, hey, that's my suitcase. Hey, that was my suitcase. I forgot. I accidentally lost it at the Minneapolis airport. I would appreciate it if they would return that suitcase to me. I totally forgot. That was mine. My bad, everybody. They can go ahead and return that suitcase with $700 million back to me. That's my property. Sorry, everybody. I know I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Listen, might this kind of explain Governor Tim Walz's recent behavior? Governor Tim Walz, he knows the walls are closing in on him. Maybe his days as a free man are numbered. He knows these whistleblowers are talking to Congress. They're giving their testimony under oath. They've got the paperwork. They've got the receipts. They've got the email chains. Tim Walz knows he is screwed. And so what is he doing in response? Well, it seems like he's doing everything he can to start a civil war. This guy is going crazy. So you know what? He might be at the stage where he's like, you know what? If I'm going down, I'm taking the country down with me. We are going civil war. We're going all out. I am burning this country down. If I'm going to jail, then civil war it is. That might be what is going on here. Because otherwise, it's kind of hard to explain this guy's absolutely insane behavior. Elon Musk posted something very curious earlier today. We've got a survey coming out. Take a look at this. What percent of Americans are in favor of voter ID laws? This is a Gallup poll. 84% of Americans across the country are in favor of voter ID laws. Only 15% oppose. I guess that means 1% of Americans are like, well, I don't know. Well, voter ID laws, should you have to show an ID when you vote? Well, I'm not sure about that. Okay. Okay. Anyway, 84% are saying yes. However, the only way to do it is for Congress, for the Republican senators to go nuclear. Elon Musk says earlier today, get it done to save America. Elon Musk goes on to say, responding to this post, look at this. We are 16 days into 2026. It is past time for Rhino Senate leader John Thune to do his job and nuke the filibuster and pass the SAVE Act. We need a wide array of America First pieces of legislation to be passed. Voter ID, voter registration, all types of things. Elon Musk, he reposts this. He says, yes, it is the only way to save America. We need to go nuclear. Yes, the pressure is still being applied. Go nuclear. Breaking news. Conservatives across the country are demanding the Senate GOP get moving on nationwide voter ID laws, citizenship, mass mail-in ballots, and other issues supported by 80% of the American public. Election day is in 291 days. That's midterms. President Trump issued a statement. Take a listen here, folks. This is from the big man himself. Terminate the filibuster. Not just for the shutdown, but for everything else. We will get all of our common sense policies approved. Voter ID, anyone? And we will make America great again. And make America great again. Remember, the Democrats will do it immediately as soon as they get the chance. Our doing it will not give them the chance. If we do it now, the Democrats, frankly, are probably never going to have power in this country ever again. You know that, right? I see a lot of people, they're worried, well, if we go nuclear, the Democrats are going to go nuclear. What if it bites us in the ass? We already know that they are going to do that. They tried in 2022. They came within 2 votes of doing it. They had 2 party defectors, thank God. Otherwise, the Republic would be gone right now. We already know they're going to do it. The best strategy for us right now is to go nuclear now, such that we can permanently prevent these far left traitorous radically progressive freaks from ever regaining control of the country again by passing a wide battery of America First articles of legislation. That's the game plan right now. Trump says, our doing it will not give them the chance. Republicans, be tough and be smart. The Democrats are crazed lunatics. They will not open up our country no matter how many people are irreparably harmed. We cannot let them do it again. Of course, we know. Listen, hey, folks, we know. If the Democrats ever regain control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, what are they going to do? They're going to permanently open up the border. They're going to grant not only amnesty, but a pathway to citizenship to what, 50 million, 35 million illegal aliens that we currently have in the country right now. They're going to add Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. as states. We've got 50 states now. How about 52? What does that mean? Why would they do that? What that means is that the Democrats would permanently get an extra 4 seats in the Senate, God knows how many congressional seats in the House, and God knows how many more electoral college votes. It would be over. They also have they've publicly talked about this, packing the Supreme Court. It doesn't say in the Constitution that we have to have 9 Supreme Court justices. The Democrats want to make that number 11 or 15 or 19. I've even heard 27. The Democrats have spoken about having 27 Supreme Court justices, appointing an extra, 18 radically progressive far-left justices. Good luck. Listen, if they do any of these things, the Republic is cooked. It's over. And so this is why President Trump is saying, listen, hey, Republicans, it is time to save the Republic. Now, we got some good news. We all know that the Supreme Court, speaking of the Supreme Court, soon is going to be ruling on the constitutionality of President Trump's IEEPA tariffs, his trade tariffs. Well, right now, the word on the block is that the Supreme Court is going to pass this ruling, this determination in 4 days on January 20th. That might or might not be the case. That's the rumor right now. Well, we hear from Kevin Hassett as it pertains to what's going on behind the scenes.
Right. Well, we're highly confident that they're going to side with us, that the legal analysis is on our side. And, we've talked about that on your show before, so I won't have to go into the details of that. But we also have a backup plan that's really solid. We can put a 10% tariff on right away to make up most of the room, and then use things like the 301 authorities, the 232 authorities to backfill the things that we've already achieved with these great deals with countries. I expect that the Supreme Court is going to be really, really supportive of the president's plan, because look at all of the things that we've created this year. We've got a huge reduction in the deficit. We've got really, really high economic growth, and inflation is way down. If you look at the consumer price index, the last data that we saw showed the core over 3 months at an annual rate at only 1.6%.
That's true.
And so the idea that the tariffs would harm the economy and create inflation has been proven wrong by the data. And I think that the Supreme Court wouldn't want to upend all of that great success either.
Now, I will tell you something. I did a massive research deep dive a couple days ago. Okay, what happens if the Supreme Court rules against President Trump and his IEEPA trade tariffs? Well, this is kind of the funny thing. It's actually, of course, it's not ideal news, but if they do, it's not exactly doomsday for all of us MAGA America First Americans, because Trump could do something very curious that I'm positive will have the Democrats absolutely screeching. Trump could redesignate almost all of his IEEPA trade tariffs. He could redesignate these tariffs as national security tariffs. He could say, well, listen, before we justified these tariffs for trade purposes, but now we're going to redesignate and justify these tariffs for national security purposes. And if Trump does that, then he can keep almost all of his trade tariffs, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. That's sole discretion up to the president to determine national security trade tariffs. And so even if Trump loses in 4 days or at some point in the future, I don't want to say that it doesn't matter, but it almost kind of doesn't matter. It'll be a little bit of a micro blow. Ouch. But it's not exactly that big of a deal. Of course, we want to win, but it's not the end of the world. Frankly, I did a big deep dive on this the other day. I think most people agree. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've got some good news for you guys. I want to share this with you. I want you to take a look at something here. This is a message We've got a statement here from an individual. This guy's name is David BLUFF. He is a campaign manager and White House senior advisor for Barack Obama. He was the senior advisor for Kamala Harris' presidential campaign. He's a Democrat strategist. So he's on the other side of the aisle. In fact, he has Kamala Harris' picture as his banner here. So why are we taking a listen to what this guy has to say? Well, I want to show you something. Ladies and gentlemen, he issued a statement earlier today. He said, and I quote, "Right now, Democrats have no credible path to sustained control of the Senate and the White House. After the adjustments to the Electoral College map that look likely to come within the next census, the Democratic presidential nominee could win all states won by Kamala Harris, plus the blue wall of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and still fall short of the 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidential election. An already unforgiving map gets more so, equally so, in the Senate." And so, folks, this is a statement taken from one of the leading Democrat political strategists working for Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, a member of the Biden administration, in fact. He came out this morning and said, we are kind of like out of luck right now. We are running out of options. And so the reason I wanted to share this is because this is a point I've been trying to make, folks. The reason why the Democrats, the far left, the reason why they are panicking and melting down and getting increasingly agitated and violent and aggressive in the streets is because they know they are losing. They are on the cusp of losing everything. This is the death rattle from the left. This is the final shriek of a slowly dying beast, that of the Democrat political establishment. They are on the cusp of losing everything. Their far left agitators are getting systematically arrested right now on the streets of Minneapolis, all across the country. Their illegal alien voter base is getting industrially deported right now. They have an unfavorable congressional map. We saw that they have lost the support of the American people. Actual Americans are done supporting these far left freaks. Now, we have a clip coming out earlier today. You want to talk about Democrats losing their mind? We have a clip from yesterday afternoon featuring none other than Ilhan Omar, who is just lashing out. She's becoming totally belligerent. Take a listen to Ilhan Omar.
Congresswoman Omar, yesterday you told me to please read when I asked you about the $9 billion fraud that you denied is happening, but I have it right here. I read. Look, Chairman Comer opens hearing on massive fraud scandal, $9 billion.
That's what Comer believes because he's as smart as you are.
It's not just Comer. It's Scott Besson. It's federal prosecutors. It's House Oversight. And it's Minnesota State Reps.
You can have that, ma'am. I think you need to get examined because your brain has been fried in some way, and it's not okay. I really hope you get some help. You and the Republicans here. Take care, okay, ma'am?
I'm sorry, I couldn't go to the learning centers that you're running over in Minnesota, but I think you should perhaps read what's actually.
Need one of those learning centers.
I need one of those learning centers.
Yes,
So this is Ilhan. I mean, all she can do right now is just lie and gaslight. She's approached with the actual information. Hey, listen, Ilhan Omar, the U.S. Treasury, Scott Besson, he said that there's $9 billion in fraud. The House Oversight Committee says there's $9 billion in fraud. Whistleblowers from your own state have determined that there's $9 billion in fraud. And what does Ilhan Omar say? She says, oh, well, you're stupid. Well, you must be mentally ill. You need to get your head examined. If you believe all of that, it's like if you believe the overwhelming evidence that there's fraud, you need to get your head examined. Okay. So she's just an absolute gaslighter. Every day we're praying that she gets denaturalized and deported. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, what I would love to do is take a look at what you folks have had to say throughout today's broadcast. So folks, give me one moment here. We are going to pull up the super chats and the Rumble rants down on Rumble. Everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. You know what I've noticed here is that I don't even know how this is happening. It doesn't make sense to me personally, but our morning shows, that's this. We've got more people tuning in the morning show, the afternoon show, than we do in the evening show. How in the hell do you explain that? You'd think that more people are tuning in the evening, but no, you guys are loving the afternoon shows, the morning shows. Do me a favor. Hey, if you are new here to this community on Rumble or on YouTube, do me a favor. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that follow button. You better do it right now. Before you forget, You got to do it right now. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Let's take a look at these super chats. I think I almost have them up here. And you know what? I think I do. Yep, I found them. All right, folks. All right, we've got the super chats open. The first super chat of the day is from Let's Roll 47. He says, thank you for all you do, Matt. God bless the USA. Let's Roll 47. Thank you very much. I think 47 is, I think he's rolling. I don't know if you've noticed. You know, it almost seems like the last couple months of 2025, they were kind of slow. They were chugging along. I guess it makes sense. It's holiday season. Good Lord. President Trump, the Trump administration, they have kicked off 2026. Guys, we're 16 days into 2026. The rate at which the Trump administration is accomplishing things going into this new year, good Lord, I'm getting whiplash. I'm getting whiplash with how fast things are getting accomplished. I can't even keep up. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Sarcastic Prodigy, he says, I have to disagree with Trump. The governor and mayor were never useful to America. Perhaps useful idiots to their communist cause. I mean, yeah, listen, these at this point, these far left politicians, they are not running for office or trying to achieve political power to better the lives of the American people. No, they're trying to destroy the republic. They are. They're trying to destroy the republic. They are. And you're right. Hey, thank you very much. Mr. Fusion, thank you for the big super chat. Mr. Fusion, permission to go MAGA Patriot mode while we are doing these super chats. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going MAGA Patriot mode while we finish off these super chats. Okay, let's get into it. We have another super chat here from Jumpy Ava. He says, paid LARPers. A LARPer is a live action role player, by the way, that think this is Grand Theft Auto. Never got told no or spanked as a child. Fafo time, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. I'll tell you something. I think a lot of these people out here on the far left, they're running around the streets, causing damage, causing mayhem. You can tell these were spoiled kids. They never got told no by their parents or some authority figure. All they've ever gotten is yes. Oh, you're so special. Yes. It's nothing is ever your fault. You are so special. And now these people are adults and their lives are crumbling down and they're taken to the streets and trying to tear their country down as well. Seems to be the case. I think so. This is Philip Butler. He says the FBI had a year to charge these organizers. I think it's coming. Listen, all I can say is as we progress through 2026, remain a little bit of optimism. I think we're going to see some big arrests. I think so. Okay. All right. I suppose I could be proven wrong, but that is what I think. We have a super chat here from Michael Trainer. He says, I wish our government would intervene ASAP. My son is up there, caught in the middle of all of this. He's just a kid, not a Democrat or a Republican. I do. I've said this time and time again. I really, my heart really goes out for just regular, everyday Americans that are living in Minnesota, that are caught in the middle of this. They've got to deal with all of this. Every time I hear these freaks on the streets blowing their whistles and banging on their drum at these anti-ICE protests, I'm thinking to myself, man, imagine that's your neighborhood. Imagine you live in that house overlooking all of this chaos and you're trying to do your homework, or you've worked a long day. You just got home from work. Your boss is a dickhead. You just got home. You had a bad night of sleep the night before. You just want to relax and unwind and take the night off. I don't know, watch something on Netflix, go to bed early, and you've got all these far left agitators marching around on the streets, blowing their whistles and banging on drums, screaming about ICE. It's like, oh my God. Oh my good Lord. So no, I do. I feel bad for these people. I feel bad because really, genuinely, I believe this. The majority of people in Minneapolis or Minnesota, I think they're good people. They're not involved in any of this. They're just trying to live their life, right? Feels bad. Lamborghini Fishing, he says, CNN is surely bought and paid for by your lefty-loosey commies. Their reporting is almost as idiotic as the criminal that allows himself to be caught on camera stealing weapons from law enforcement. Yeah, they say the entire fish is rotten right now. It rots from the head down, but most certainly this entire fish is rotten at this point. I think the entire fish is stupid. This is one very stupid fish. It's one very rotten and very stupid fish. I mean, we've seen with a lot of this fraud in Minneapolis, a lot of these Somali fraud, these people didn't even make an attempt to cover up their tracks. It's like the most easily proven case of fraud, mass fraud in all of U.S. history. You would think if you're going to try to commit a crime, you would try to bury the evidence, hide the evidence somewhere so that you couldn't be caught at some point in the future. These people were too incompetent to even hide the evidence, right? Really just astounding. Thank you very much. We've got a super chat here from Greg Astorino. It says, hey, Matt, happy Formal Friday. It is Formal Friday. Congratulations on your 700,000. You and the people like you are the new media. Bring the energy. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I can't believe every single day we're hitting 20,000 people. I'm like, is this thing bugging? There's got to be a bug in the matrix here. There's no way that there's 20,000 people on YouTube and God knows how, what, 5,000 people on Rumble? I don't even know. Something like that. I'm like, something has got to be off here. But no, I look at the chat. You guys are awake. You guys are wild. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Every single day, it's more people tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Really, you know what it is? I think all of us are just sick of the far left propaganda media bullshit. Don't you think that's the case? We are just sick of the gaslighting and getting lied to. We're sick of it. We're taking over. We are taking over. Patriots are taking over. Patriots are in control. We are taking over. We've had enough. Thank you very much. We have a super chat from Modest Code. He says, you're a BAMF. Nicely. You know, I hate to say this. Really, I'm not. I'm not that cool. I'm way cooler on the internet than I am in real life. I'm kind of a boring guy in real life. But hey, you know what? Hey, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I've got enough energy to become badass for 1 hour a day. Anything beyond that, for 23 hours, I'm totally boring. But for 1 hour a day, I can be cool. Thank you very much. This is Fazul says, nice suit. I'd vote for Matt. Father bless. Hey, thank you, Father. Hey, listen, I hope the Father blesses everyone. Thank you very much. You know, I don't really have any political aspirations right now. Maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30 years from now, I might change my mind. But here's my promise, okay? For the next 20 years, at a minimum, I will be here every day doing the show. Okay, you guys have me for another 20 years. Then I might do something else. Maybe I run for something. I become a House rep or a senator. I don't know. I might try to get more directly involved, but you guys have me here every single day on YouTube and Rumble for the next 20 years. Deal? Okay, deal. Shake on it? Okay, hold up. Wrong hand. Shake on it? Okay, shake on it. 20 years you've got me. Before I don't know, try to do something else. This is from OG Chappie. He says, Dems have totally lost it. The golden age is now. Thank you, Chappie. Arc Dragon says, Trump has presidential immunity in the performance of his duties, which enforcement of federal immigration law absolutely is. You know what would just be something else? If we really want to piss off the far left, you know what Trump could do right now is preemptively pardon every single ICE officer in the country. How funny would that be? And by the way, the Democrats, they are the ones that set that precedent. You want to talk about sweeping preemptive pardons? Who really instituted that? Who invented that notion, which is frankly ridiculous? It was the Democrats. So you know what? Hey, listen, maybe they need to have a day of comeuppance here. Maybe they need to see some comeuppances. President Trump, go ahead and preemptively pardon every single ICE, CBP, DHS officer in the entire country. Let's go. Let them roll. Let's go. Let these boys roll. Okay, why not? Screw it. They're the ones that started it. This is, okay, Phoenix says the same thing. Thank you, Phoenix. I appreciate that, brother. Welcome back to the show. Patricia Luna says, love Formal Friday. I have my best pajamas on. Congrats on the 1 million tweets. And Jennings repeating it. Yeah, no, I woke up and I saw Scott Jennings say, I said, that sounds familiar. I couldn't believe it. I'm not mad about that either. That's exciting for me. That's cool. We're going viral. We're going viral. We are breaching containment. Sondel Witchen says, hey, Matt, greetings from Germany. I thought that sounded like a German name. We love Formal Friday and watch every single podcast. It's a real highlight for us. Thanks for the great content. Please keep it up. Best regards, Marcus and Vicky. Well, good Lord. Dankeschön, mein deutschen Zuschauer. I don't know. Listen, hey, what can I say? Ich muss lernen Deutsch, da meine Frau ist aus Deutschland und mein Sohn und meine Tochter ist Deutsch. aber Deutsch ist schwer und ich bin beschäftigt and I don't know. How do I say lazy? I'm lazy and busy. I don't know. I speak a tiny bit. Okay, I have to because of my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is always like, hey, wait, when are you learning German? And then she hits me. She beats me with her Birkenstock. Listen, my mother-in-law beats me with her Birkenstock. She says, hey, listen, you need to learn Deutsch. And I say, okay, oh my God, sorry. Oh my God. Okay. It's a crazy time. So yeah, I need to learn German. Things are getting a little bit crazy around here. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I hope I didn't offend you with my terrible German. Thank you. Donnie Rose, thank you very much for that super chat. This is Andrew Jackson says, hope Trump's pardons them all for a laugh. Hey, it would be funny. That would be funny. That would be funny. That would be very funny. We have a big super chat here from David Sylvester. That's a massive $50 super chat. He says, looking sharp, Matt. Keep up the great work. Thank you. God bless you and God bless America. And you know what? God bless everyone in the audience. God bless all of these patriotic Americans. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sylvester. That's a massive level of support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Every day. Hey, listen, we're plugging away every single day. We're not going anywhere. Beach Life, thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Hold Me Tighter became a member of the community. You know what? We have a Rumble chat over here, a Rumble rant from JMCBD. He says, "Thank you, Matt. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much." There's a dog hair on my hat. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. Everyone, hey. I think it's going to be a wrap for today's show. We went a little bit into overtime today. How can I not go into overtime with you folks? You guys are so fun to talk to. I love doing these live shows. Ladies and gentlemen, I love them so much that I will be back in about 6 hours. We're going to do, of course, our evening show today at 5 p.m. Western, 8 p.m. Eastern. And whatever news there is, we'll be covering it. So everybody, hey, listen, if you have not already, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to follow, subscribe on Rumble, on YouTube. Like it over here, like it over there. Thank you, folks, very much. I'll be back before you even realize I was gone. Everybody, God bless, stay safe, and I'll see you folks in just a couple hours. So thank you guys very much. I'll see you soon. Take care, everyone. Take care. Yeah, 5 hours. 5 hours. You're right. In 5 hours. Thank you very much.